Most people think cash is the boring part of a financial plan. It is the money that sits on the sidelines, earns less, and gets talked about like it is somehow failing because it is not fully invested. In a world that loves optimization, cash can look like lazy money. But that view misses what cash actually does. Because cash is not just about return. It is about timing, flexibility, and the ability to make good decisions when life does not go according to plan. It is the difference between being forced and having options. And that is a kind of power most people do not appreciate until they need it. In this video, we are going to break down why having a kind of power cash is more powerful than it looks, why treating it like dead money is a mistake, and how the right amount of cash can quietly improve almost every part of your financial life. If you like practical money videos that focus on how financial life really works, hit like and subscribe. Section 1. Most people think about cash the wrong way. Most people think about cash as money that is not pulling its weight. If it is not invested, growing fast, or doing something obvious, they assume it is just sitting there. That is why cash gets dismissed so easily. It gets compared to stocks, compared to long-term returns, and judged like its main job is to win a growth contest. But cash is not really an investment category in the same way. It is financial infrastructure. It is the part of your plan that keeps everything else stable. Not because it grows the fastest, but because it stays available. And that does not mean stuffing all your money into a checking account and calling it safety. It means having liquid reserves that are easy to access, protected from market swings, and ideally earning something while they wait. That is the real frame for this whole conversation. Cash is not powerful because of what it earns. It is powerful because of what it lets you do when the rest of life gets unpredictable. Section 2. Cash buys time before it buys returns. Cash buys time before it buys anything else. When life hits, and eventually it does, liquid reserves give you breathing room. A job loss, a medical bill, a car repair, a move, a gap between contracts, none of these feel the same when you have cash sitting there. The problem still exists, but it stops being an emergency in the emotional sense because you have space to respond. And that matters more than people admit. Without cash, problems become urgent. You are forced to scramble, borrow, sell something, or make a fast decision under pressure. With cash, the same problem becomes a decision. You can think, you can compare options, you can choose the least damaging response instead of the fastest one. That is why cash is one of the first real forms of financial freedom. It does not just help you survive bad moments, it protects you from bad timing, and that may be the most valuable thing money can do. Section 3. The real cost of I can just sell investments. A lot of people say, I don't need much cash. If something happens, I can just sell investments. On paper, that sounds reasonable. In real life, it can be expensive. Invested money is not the same as available money. Yes, you can access it, but access is not the same as flexibility. If you need cash at a bad moment, you may be forced to sell when the market is down, which means the problem is not just that you need money. It is that you need money when your assets are temporarily worth less. That is the hidden cost. Without cash, a normal life problem can turn into forced selling at exactly the wrong time. And once that happens, you are not just covering an expense, you are locking in damage that might have recovered if you had more time. That is why cash matters. It keeps you from having to solve a short-term problem with a long-term asset at the worst possible moment. Section 4. Cash changes the quality of your decisions. Cash changes the quality of your decisions because it lowers panic. When you have reserves, volatility does not hit your nervous system the same way. A market drop is still uncomfortable, but it does not immediately trigger the thought that you might need to sell, pause everything, or rewrite your whole plan. You know your short-term needs are covered, so the pressure comes down. And that changes behavior. You check your accounts less obsessively. You spend less time doom-scrolling through headlines. You are less likely to react to fear with a bad trade or a rushed decision. Instead of constantly asking, what do I need to do right now? You can step back and think more clearly. That is why the value of cash is not just what it earns on paper. It is what it protects in your behavior. And over time, better decisions are often worth more than squeezing out a little more return while increasing the odds that stress pushes you into a mistake. Section 5. Cash creates opportunity. When other people freeze, cash is not just defensive. At the right moment, it becomes offensive. This is the part most people miss. When markets fall, when someone needs to sell quickly, when a good business idea shows up, or when a career move requires short-term sacrifice, cash gives you the ability to act while other people freeze. The opportunity may be obvious, but if all your money is locked up or tied to the market, you cannot do much with it. That is why liquidity matters before the opportunity appears. By the time something attractive shows up, it is too late to start building flexibility. You either already have it, or you do not. And when you do, cash stops being just a safety tool. It becomes opportunity capital. It lets you move when prices are lower, when choices are wider, and when the upside belongs to the people who were ready before things got interesting. Section 6. The hidden power. Cash gives you the ability to say no. One of the most overlooked powers of cash is that it gives you the ability to say no. It changes how you negotiate, how you work, and how you respond to pressure. When you have reserves, you are less likely to accept a bad client, stay in a toxic job, agree to terrible terms, or rush into a decision just because money is tight. You can wait, ask better questions, and walk away when something is clearly wrong. That is what cash changes most. Your posture. Without it, urgency makes too many decisions for you. With it, desperation goes down and patience goes up. And that shift creates leverage, because the person who does not need to force a yes is usually the person with more power. That is why cash is not just a safety tool. It is one of the most practical forms of financial power because it gives you room to protect your time, your standards, and your future decisions. Section 7. How much cash is actually useful? How much cash is actually useful depends on your life, not on a universal rule. If you are early in your career, your obligations may be lower and your income may still be growing. So the goal is often a smaller reserve with enough runway to handle normal surprises without derailing everything. You do not need to treat cash like a fortress, but you do need enough that one bad month does not force a bad decision. As life gets more complex, the answer usually changes. Mid-career, with a mortgage, family responsibilities, or income that is less predictable, a larger cash reserve is not overly cautious. It is rational. The more obligations you carry, the more expensive bad timing becomes, and that makes liquidity more valuable. So the right amount of cash is the amount that keeps your life stable without leaving you constantly exposed. It should reflect your fixed costs, your income volatility, and how much room you need to make good decisions under pressure. If this is changing how you think about cash, hit like and subscribe. Now let's wrap this up, because the real power of cash is not that it grows fast. It is that it keeps your entire financial life from becoming fragile. The core truth is simple. Cash is powerful not because it grows the fastest, but because it protects your timing, improves your decisions, and lets you move when other people cannot. It keeps short-term problems from turning into long-term damage, and it gives you the kind of flexibility that spreadsheets often miss. If this gave you a new way to think about cash, hit like and subscribe. And I want to hear from you in the comments. Do you see cash as dead money, peace of mind, or opportunity capital? Also, watch the next video, The Hidden Wealth Milestones, Why Your First 100K is a Lie, because it connects perfectly to this idea. Some of the most important signs of real wealth are not the big visible numbers. They are the quieter shifts that change how your money works for you.